You bastard.
Let me know if you bastard. He says, "Way to greet me." Let's see if it pops up. Looks like it's going.
At least you didn't say, "Are we live?"
That's true.
I can't stand when people say that on their lives. Are we live yet?
No, I just wanted to see if it's actually going. It looks like it's going. I'm waiting for the chat to show up in our
Well, for the chat to show
platform
up,
here.
it means somebody has to be here willing to talk to us.
Oh, those silly people. I see Ted. There he
Oh,
is.
there he
There
is.
he is.
Mod
Ted Jones,
of
your
the
stuff
month.
went out today. Mod of mods.
Mod of mods. Ted Jones, man, the myth,
SPB.
the legend. SPB in the
So
house.
we have a new topic to discuss today. You can kind of look at this from several different angles. I thought it would be interesting for you and I to dive into basically the different eras. By no means am I any sort of expert on comic books whatsoever. It's really not my wheelhouse. I don't actually even consider myself to be an expert as it relates to coins. Definitely not
No,
numismatics. I mean,
but you're
I know
avid.
avid, but I know about like modern bullion and stuff. But it's I know enough. But when it comes to comic books, okay, we've got the different eras,
Hmm.
and with each era comes pros and cons. And I thought we could discuss the different eras, which is better from a collectible standpoint, from a reseller standpoint, for speculation standpoint. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could actually skin the cat for
Yep.
this. So I guess essentially what I wanted to do, because again, for myself, I don't even have the dates memorized. I'm going to just share the screen just so people could see what it is that we are talking about here. Let me just click this here.
Uh-oh. We're losing pieces and parts. It's like the guy with the motorcycle jacket that says honk if parts fall off. Or
I've never
what,
seen that.
well, there's another one that says honk if the bitch falls off.
Well, that I've seen.
But
That
honk if
I've
parts
seen.
fall off.
So the different comic book eras, right? We've got. I saw that this, it breaks everything down into the four eras. We've got the Golden Age,
Mm-hmm.
which dates 1938 to 56. We got the Silver Age, 56 to 70. Bronze,
Right.
1970 to 85. And then you got Modern, which is
Mm-hmm.
85 to now. Now, I did see on another few websites they had like eight.
Yeah,
Um,
they break it down even further.
they break it down even further. And
It's
I thought
almost
that,
it's almost not they break it down basic culturally versus by year.
right,
Like what
right.
was the one we talked about earlier? Atomic Age.
Atomic. Atomic. And that was like set like 1947 to 55 or something. I'm like, oh, you know
Mm-hmm.
what makes sense? DOA is the fact that atomic, like during like, right around World War II, maybe the atomic bomb, I don't
Yeah, it
know why they
looks like
called it that,
when
but
Chevy and Mercury and everybody came out with the fins because
mhm.
jet planes were just coming out, and the Vietnam era, the late 50s and early 60s, those fins were big, popular. I mean, culture has such a big impact on us. I mean, it doesn't shock me that there's 8 or 9 categories for this, but
Yeah.
generally gold and silver, bronze, modern are the biggies.
And so here, just looking at Golden Age, it's the introduction of Superman, which is
Hmm.
like the most well known from that time period. Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Captain America,
What do
um,
all those have in common? DC. It's DC.
DC,
It's all DC.
DC, Silver Age, which a lot of your collection seems to be from Silver and Bronze, that mega collection that you got.
Uh-huh.
But this is Fantastic Four. You got Spider Man. Um, you were
Yeah,
about to
so
say something.
so in the golden age, that is before comics developed their ability to carry a character.
Yeah,
So you had things like what what is the biggest Spider-Man book there is? Amazing?
Amazing Fantasy 15.
That's not Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh
It's
no, Amazing
amazing.
Spider-Man. You said what's the biggest
No,
book?
no, but that's what I'm saying. But Amazing
Oh
Fantasy
yeah, 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 yeah.
is the series, right?
Yes.
But so Golden Age often depicts series before they became characters. Truly, they were a character, of course, but nobody gave a shit. It was like, let's dip our toe in the water. It's sort of like running a test in the funnies or comic strips in the New York Times or something to see what caught. Before Calvin and Hobbes was Calvin and Hobbes, it was still Fat Kid and Cat.
Hmm.
So Golden Age is the era where people were trying things out and different form of entertainment. Um,
I now, when we're talking about, what's the best era, right? It's like, well, that like, what are we talking here? Are we talking in terms of value? Are we talking in terms of, from the collectibles standpoint, like people just buying and hoarding the stuff? Are we talking? So, I guess you know we could look. Let's look at it first of all from like the collectible standpoint, right? From if we're somebody that's like watching the podcast and like we want to buy and collect, Golden Age. You had said something interesting before we started. Golden Age, the thing with that time period is because everything is so old, it doesn't even fully necessarily matter that you're getting stuff in like the best condition.
mhm,
You could get stuff like that's a 1.0 and
or
cost
point
you,
0.5.
or point 0.5 that's costing you tens of thousands of dollars.
Mhm,
And what I couldn't wrap my head around, I didn't even know until recently that this was actually a thing, is that they sell or that they actually do graded comics for books that have no cover.
oh yeah.
And they do graded comic just pages, individual
Mhm.
pages.
Singular pages too.
Yes. I thought that was just, it just goes to show you how finite the supply of golden age books are out there and what people are willing to pay and do in order just to own a piece of it, you know?
Yep, and how fractional, how
Yeah.
partial, how in pieces something can be. I mean, look, in Pokemon, the wrappers and the box, the empty box and the wrappers for first edition Pokemon can sell for $3,000 for empty wrappers.
Rappers?
Wrappers and the box, right? For sports cards,
So
the
absurd.
the flawless case can sell for $900. This flawless briefcase can sell for $900. The cover of an Amazing Fantasy 15 can sell for
It's,
$5,000 for a fucking cover with
I just
none of the stuff on the inside. I mean,
somebody that just buy like, dude, I mean, somebody that's gonna pay $3,000 for a Pokemon wrapper, they need to be nut punched. I'm
well,
sorry, like it's like for a wrapper.
look,
Come
I
on
mean,
now.
but truth be told, there's a reason for it, and you could look at
Yeah,
the positive, which is they still have a part of history. And they want it for display
right.
because the box, if the printing is just, if the cards printed are valuable for their rarity, so is the box. They were done at the same time. At
Hmm.
the On the other side of the fence, you have people who are looking to do nefarious things with an empty box and wrapper,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
stuff it full of GI Joe.
right. Bunch of
Yeah,
crap.
like Silver Trooper just said, like, so a scammer can refill the box with Austin Power Packs. Exactly. So if you're gonna scam somebody, you're gonna need an original box. You're gonna need an original wrapper. Might as well buy it. I mean, if you're gonna sell and make, if you're gonna make 100 grand, why not spend 3,000 on the official
Didn't
wrappers and
didn't something like that happen on a live stream with like
Logan Paul?
yeah, right? It was with him and a couple people, and a guy shows up and he has this box, and then they realize that it was
What
already
happened?
opened and
It's
fake,
happened to
and
Yes, it's happened a bunch of different times. So recently was the sports collector show. The National was this past weekend, and they did it with like a pack in 94 Prism or something, 95 Prism. The Breaker, it was like a $20,000 box, 18,000 for the box of cards, sports cards, and the guy's on Whatnot, and he goes to open the box and break it, and it's Austin Power Packs.
oh, so
Uh,
that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, so somebody purchased or took their old box, filled it with cards of equal weight, and then sealed it and sold it. And somebody may have held on to that for years, thinking they had a legitimate product, and they
Right.
didn't.
Oh my god.
Then Logan Paul did that too with Pokemon. He bought like $1 million box of Pokemon cards, and
Wasn't
they
it like three?
opened it.
It was 350, I think.
Yeah, but he had bought like the whole deal was multiples, and
Uh
one of the guys, uh, you know, came over to prove that it was real and
yes.
legit. They opened it up live on air, and it was GI Joe packs. So somebody had stuffed it. Now they come to find out the guy who sold it to Logan was the scammer.
Right.
So it was a big game. But when you talk about that much money, it's like that. It's like that with anything. Silver. We look at some of the fakes in the silver community. It's like
Yeah.
who would go through as much trouble as these guys to skim 50% of silver price,
Right.
right?
Right.
But when you
Or
talk
like
about
the plate stuff and fill stuff with like lead, and yeah, when you're talking
yeah,
thousands and thousands of dollars, and
and
uh
it might not
yeah.
even be it might not be traceable by the time it gets opened, and that's what many people hope for is that it just sits there. When I went and got my box of Pokemon, my first edition box, I that was a big thing. I did a lot, weeks of research to determine the number of perforations in the box to make sure they matched,
Oh my
the
god.
weight of the box,
Right.
the pattern for the heat sealed wrapper needed
To
to
make
be
sure that that was like the same as it came out of the factory, because otherwise,
yep,
if it's like a reseal,
it wouldn't be the same,
oh my
right? And so
god.
it's weeks and weeks and weeks of researching and saying, okay, well, I saw 7 boxes of the original stuff that I know is real. This
Hmm.
is the pattern, and so you screenshot it, then you import it into Photoshop, and you turn up the contrast, and then you turn down the brightness, and you get this black and white pattern. And then you burn like almost like one of those psychological
Like
charts that
forensics, like you're it's like
yeah,
it's like true crime detective on like
you're
cellophane wrapping.
and,
It's
and let me tell you something. Remember when you were a kid, you just looked at that picture, and then you could look at a wall, and you'd see like,
yeah, 3D or whatever, or
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the type of stuff you do. You sitting on the airplane, sitting on your tablet, staring at this thing, burning that image in your head, so that when you see the wrapper, you know exactly what the pattern should look like, and if there's any variance, then you run away from it. You look at
So
all that stuff, man, all of it.
that's just insane. And one of the things too, like if I were to ever buy a a book, right? Like you and I were talking about this. Like I actually, I would never really necessarily go through with it. I mean, maybe I would, depends. But I was looking at that 2.5 Amazing Fantasy 15, right?
Might want to
And
kill the bar.
yep, I'm going to.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, I have you up there. I accidentally deleted my graphic, so I'm gonna be you right now. It's good to be
Okay.
the king.
Yeah,
It's
that's
good to
right.
be the king. So I was
Especially
looking
a
at.
good-looking one.
That's right. I was looking at this
Mhm.
2.5. They've got it listed for 36K. I
Right?
received an offer to get it for 31, and you got
Mhm.
43 watchers on it. And I was like, oh, I actually thought about it for a quick second. And the reason being is because I saw like a point 0.5 selling for a stupid amount of money. And this cover, when you look at the cover, right here along this outer right edge, just right here is where it kind of gets all messed up.
Chippy. Mhm.
But for all
Golden
intents and purposes, it's not in horrible condition, But my point, so where I'm getting to is, I would rather pay for like a 2.5 and pay a big amount of money for something like this, that actually where the full entire cover is intact. You see like 2.0s or 1.5s where like a big like chunk is ripped out.
Yep.
I can't, that's not for me. I need to actually have the whole cover there.
Yeah.
Um, I can't justify. I mean, it's hard enough to justify spending that kind of money on a freaking comic book, let alone the fact that people actually will buy the stuff where it's like ripped and gouged and so on and so forth. Now, going back to the different eras, right? You've got golden, silver, bronze, modern, and you had said time and time again, modern age, you really kind of don't want to go below like 9.8
Hmm.
on stuff. However, modern though, if we're looking, it starts in 1985, and there are some big books that are in the modern time
Hmm.
that cost a really big amount, like first appearance of Venom, right? Spider-Man 300, I think that goes for 9.8, 45, 6, 4,500,
Hmm.
6,000, something like that. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, like other big
I
books.
mean, you
So
have $7,000 books behind you, $9,000 books. That I mean, what the
yeah,
giant? I mean, some of that stuff's you may have gotten a better deal on it when you bought it, but like Giant Size X Men, what 5 or 6 thousand? That 9.0 Spider Man and Punisher. I
yeah,
mean, those are what you got to think. Those two books right there
that one and that one. Yeah,
are worth more than what some people drive. Right?
this is true. Yeah,
A handful of gold coins can be worth more than what some people have to put as a down payment on a house.
yeah,
Everything's in perspective, and I think that if you're that interested in getting into the space and you find a copy that's ripped and graded, then you have some sense of comfort knowing that at least it's got some value and it gets your foot in the door, and maybe the goal is to upgrade, use it as a trade. But
do
and
you do you
what's that?
think there's like an era? Okay, I'll ask you this: what era is your favorite?
Modern.
Is that mainly because that's your entire life from
It's my
childhood till now?
Yeah, it's it's
It's
um it's my life. Now, I think second would be silver, just because I think that's the precursor to modern. So the precursor, it's the beginning, it's the start of all of this stuff. But definitely, I'm sorry, yeah, silver. Bronze Age is in between there, but Silver
so
Age
you Silver Age. Okay, go on.
Silver Age is still the precursor. So
Yeah,
Golden Age is when they were ideas. They were theoretical ideas. Golden Age was just let's try this thing out as a new form of entertainment. Let's
yep.
create a guy in a costume with these incredible powers and see
Powers, saving everybody and being the
if
hero.
yeah, and let's see if it sticks. So Silver Age is the proof of Golden Age is proof of concept. Silver Age is implementation. Bronze Age to me is where they were sort of trying to figure out how to still get it mainstream. Modern to me is pretty amazing. It's where the movies, the cinematic universes have come from. It's the where the artwork in the late 80s and the early 90s began to change, I mean, think about us, the characters that we grew up with. It
Of
was
course,
like
yeah,
the more doohickeys on the belts that they had, it was sort of like a larper,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
like when we wear our vests for work, like when you wear like a, I know you're not into that sort of thing, but when if you wear like a, a plate carrier or a bulletproof vest, I'm trying not to sound too cheesy about it, but you really don't want all the shit hanging off of it
right.
because it slows you down.
Of
Your
course.
weapon gets caught in it. You really can't function that way, and stuff jingles and rattles. So you really want to go high speed, low drag as little as possible on your plate carrier or your vest. But in the 90s, man, belts on top of belts with gadgets and widgets and things
You're
and
talking about like
bullets,
the first Batman movie by
all of
Tim
it.
Burton, and he had all the gadgets and everything. I would agree with you. Like modern is my favorite, and again, it's probably mainly due to the fact that that's my childhood as a child from the 1980s. Um, you know, I don't own any Silver Age books. I just own a couple of Bronze Age, and you know, I don't. I think the only book or two books right now that I would even care to own from the Silver Age would be Amazing Fantasy 15. That's like, where is it? Like, back. I can't ever do this. It's always back there.
Hmm.
Or the Amazing Spider-Man #1. Um, but it's tricky. It's a hard, broad question to say like what era is best, because it's like best what, like going up in value, like what,
It's
like,
best for your situation, your finances, for
yeah.
your level of interest. There's some people who look at comic books and go, "Wow, who on earth would pay $35,000 for this
Hmm.
book?" But then look at YouTube and you see these guys out there offering, a cup of water or a gold coin, and people don't understand what a gold coin is, so they take the cup of water. I
Right.
mean, and everybody in the coin world's like, "Oh my god, you're stupid." But,
It's
ignorance is
again,
bliss, and
yeah.
Trooper says slick. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Now,
Um,
have you been following this last week? I haven't really been following too much in the way of the market for comic books, like on Key Collector or anything like that. Um, are we still seeing? Do you, by any chance, happen to know, or is it still coming down a little bit? Or are we just kind of still staying put? I mean,
um,
to
uh,
me, it's go ahead.
it's pretty level. It's pretty level.
Yeah,
There are always going to be more books in the comic world that are going up than there are going down, which is interesting for the comic space. It's because in most collectible world, it's a needle in a haystack to find the one item that's going up. In comics, there are typically more books with a reason to increase in value than there is to decrease in value. In fact, it's bigger news in the comic world when a movie flops or a comic drops to the bottom. That's bigger news in the comic collectible space than when something is rising.
yeah. See, now here's pardon me. Here's Key Collector's Hot 10.
Hmm.
We've got Fantastic Four. I mean, the thing too is, again, just the sheer number of characters and issues. It's just mind. Here's, you've got that one, don't you?
Hmm. Yep.
Right.
I've got all
It's
the.
the
I've
very
got all
first
the.
Hulk.
I've let's see. Go up. I've got all of those. I
Submariner.
I have the entire set of Submariner, and I have the
Oh
entire
my
set of
god.
Fantastic Four, and I have the entire set of Iron Man,
Oh
and I
my
have the
god.
entire set of Incredible Hulk. I have
How about
everything
X
that's
Men?
on most of X Men, no Star Wars. I have
I didn't
Invincible
think.
Iron Man. I have a few of those, a few of the
See
Secret Wars. The collection that I bought wasn't really built around that time frame. I have that America,
this one.
and yeah, I have
If-
all. I have two sets of Tales of Suspense. Two
That's just
sets.
crazy. Two entire sets. Avengers
Yep,
Kang.
yep. I have all the Avengers.
Oh my god.
I don't have. I've got a handful of Secret Wars.
I had this one. I forget what grade I had it in. I think I had it in an 8.0. Origin of the Black Symbiote costume. It's it's kind of funny how many. It's hard because you've got the first appearance of the black costume. You got first appearance of Venom. You've got there's so many different. This one's the Secret Wars. It's the origin of the black costume. Like there's so many like different things. And there's the cameo appearance of Venom. Like that was like Spider-Man 299. It's like
Is
everything
the
is like, oh, it's the first of this. It's the first of that. It's the first time.
Yeah,
Like
and that gets
that's just
confusing, and it crowds the space for people
yeah.
who are new. It's like, is it a first full appearance? Does it count if the shadow is there, or just a head versus? I
There
mean,
was
there's
something. funny that what was it? I saw like it was like a Wolverine comic book, and it said it was like the first time the word like "shick" or something like that was used to make the sound of his claws coming out.
Uh-huh.
I was like, that's a thing? Like that's like your semi key. It's like it's like come on now. So Lethal Wolf says I got that Secret Wars 8 signed by Bagley and Zek. Um I so now that I have my wall done, I'm taking a
Right?
breather.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think I need to get one more book so that way I could fill this one last space here. Um, but next on my list would probably be first appearance of Venom. Um, he's arguably one of my favorite characters, so I probably go for that one. I already told you I want to get the Hulk 340, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, going back to now again the topic of tonight's thing, which era is the best? Modern in terms of affordability seems to be the way to go because for me I have a hard time and I lost him. He's got a kid. He's gonna say here's a kid, let's wave, there it is. Oh no, it's a box, still a kid. What is that? What do you got in
Co-
there?
Comics.
Well, that I figured, but what is it?
Fantastic
So
Four. Fantastic Four. Let's see. Oh, this book is $1,700 the way it sits. Oh, and it's more than that. It's it might be like 17. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 4.
I told you I like that book. I That was one I was looking at in a 1.8 and it was like $1,800. I'm like,
Tales of Suspense. This is Tales of Suspense number 81. It was 12 cents. This is Iron Man Captain America Tales of Suspense. This is Giant Ant-Man versus Incredible Hulk Tales to Astonish number 60. Look at that Hulk. Well, let's see. It's kind of dark, but
did
ugly Hulk.
Ugly Hulk.
These are
Did
all
you?
Fantastic Four. Oh, look, this is a huge book. Fantastic Four,
Oh
Galactus.
yeah, yeah. That's a big one. Sean's precious bullion. He was telling me to buy that one. Like getting it in a 6.0 was like $4,000.
This is Fantastic Four. So let's see. Oh wait, here's a couple of
Yeah,
Web
so
of.
I'm gonna probably get those because that was from my childhood. I had
Yeah.
that thing. I forget. I remember all those hologram or foil covers. Yep, I've got. That's one I still have to get on the wall. Actually, I'll probably get that one. 375.
This is actually something that people are missing out on right now. Is Spider-Man 2099?
I
These
had that. I had the first appearance signed, or sorry, the first Spider-Man 2099 signed by the. I had that. I sold copies of that last year. Um,
so.
Sean's
Mhm.
precious bullion saying he's sweating. Lethal Wolf wants to know: are you going to have those slabbed and graded?
No, not all of them. There's some of these I'm just gonna put on the market and allow you guys to get them. Like this is one of the best covers.
I
The
had
red,
that one. That's the
the
one I
red
had that was
foil. That's the
signed.
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is number one.
yeah.
This is Spider-Man 2099 number one. Look, I got multiple copies.
Oh, look at that inventory. Now,
Inventory.
the do you know what's bothering me? The fact
So
that you have no rhyme or reason to this crate. You had stuff from the 60s mixed in with stuff Spider-Man 2099. I'm waiting for like a Miles Morales Spider-Man. Like you've
at
got
least I
just
got a crate. God damn it!
yes,
No, the
but it
rest of
needs
it's
to
all
be.
it's worked on. It's being worked on. The rest of it's all Superman. The rest of it's all Superman. There's a box of Venom. Like this is a work in progress. I got another box. Let me go dig that one out and see what that looks like, just out of
But
curiosity.
what is the? I just don't understand. What's the organization system? What's
The
happening right now
organization
in that?
system is I take the cardboard box that it sat in since who knows when,
And you're
and
just putting it in that for now.
I put it in a this, and then this box gets carried because this is a short box.
Yeah.
So the cardboard ones are all long boxes, so they weigh more
Too
than I can
bulky. Yeah.
Yeah. So I fill this up, and then between my wife and I, we run around and like start sorting. And
I'm like itching Steve Woods. I'm like, it's Tales to Astonish mixed in with the Hulk, mixed in with the Fantastic Four, with a couple Spider-Mans. um, so, not trying to spill the beans necessarily, guys, but DOA and I have been talking strategy now for quite a while, talking about which books he'll send in, which books he's going to offer up for sale. And he and I are contemplating on doing a live stream sale on YouTube. Um, what is that? Iron Man dropping into a cauldron of
it's
hot molten metal.
Iron Man 18, and market value on this book is like $35 raw. I mean, how cool is that?
It's cool, just like vintage coolness. So DOA and I, it's in the works. It's going to be a while. But DOA and I are uh, contemplating on starting to do like a joint live stream, selling both raw and slab books to you guys.
These are huge right now. Luke
Luke
Cage.
Cage.
They are huge. This is number 2. I've got the whole collection of them, but this is number 2. These are
Do you have
big books right now.
do you have any ideas to what's causing them to blow up right now, or
Probably rumors about movies.
yeah? I tried so hard to get into the show. It was so bad. It
Look,
was so
okay,
bad.
this is special. I'm gonna take it out of the wrapper and let y'all freak
Why?
out a bit because the wrapper's
Why?
a little wrinkly. You know what? It doesn't
Okay.
matter. This is Iron Man number 1. This is the very first Iron Man. However, it also has the comic shop stamp on it. That makes it even that makes it even more valuable. It's got the shop stamp on it from 1960 whatever. But Iron Man
Where's
number
the
1,
stamp?
it's right here.
Right up there on the end?
No, right in the end. Yeah, the
Yeah.
end.
Why
Yep.
why does that make it more valuable? Wouldn't that
So
make it less valuable because it's
no,
like
no. So there is provenance
mm,
in the history of comics. That's how they used to be distributed. Was you'd have to date stamp it so that the producers knew that you distributed the comic on time.
I'm
You understand?
listening, but I'm laughing at
What?
Sean's Precious Bullion said, DOA, you have such a like insane collection. He wouldn't leave the room for a week and would be peeing in bottles for a week, like
it's
Howard Hughes.
it's pretty awesome. But these stamps are considered provenance, and depending on what the stamp looks like, can have even a greater value because of where they've come from.
It's so
So,
interesting too, because other things would make the value drop.
yep,
You
but
know.
not
So let
not
me ask
that.
you though, if you were to send that into CGC though, would that have a
It would not. No, it would not get a ink
green label
on.
or
Nope, it would not. See, okay, here's another. This is strange. This is Monster of Frankenstein number 1. Again, the entire series of
looks
Frankenstein.
like a ripoff of Hulk?
I mean, they're all comic
Have
books.
you
They're
do
all
you have
ripoff.
Dracula? Because that's another
I
one that's
do.
been going
I
up.
do have.
Really?
I
Oh
have
my
all the
god!
Draculas. So let's see. This is Thing and Doctor Strange number 1. Let's see. I'm trying to find some interesting stuff to show you guys. Not just trying to flash stuff, but
No, I mean
um,
it makes sense, but I feel like I've lost you now.
you have not. This
So
is. Oh, Ghost Rider.
see, that's another one that I would like to get.
Which one is this? Let's see.
The first appearance of Ghost Rider, I'd like to get.
Oh, this is an iconic cover. So this is Ghost Rider 4. I do have them all, but this is Ghost Rider 4. Isn't that cool? I mean, and look,
That's a
there's no.
different Ghost Rider.
This is the original.
Yeah, but that's not the one on the motorcycle that everybody associates with Ghost Rider. You're looking at the older one.
Bro, what did he start on?
On a
A
pony.
horse. A horse.
But when they're
Uh,
talking about first appearance of Ghost Rider, usually they always associate, what is it, Marvel? What is it? What's the one, guys? Something number 5 or something like that.
yeah, no, I get all of that. I mean, we're not here talking variations in first appearances. I'm showing you number ones. I'm showing you this is this I've got the entire giant size set. So this is giant size number 1, which happens to be Master of Kung Fu. But these are excellent condition books if you see them. They're not missing chunks. They're not busted in half.
You got some collection.
So yeah, Trooper says the Ghost Rider is different than Ghost Rider. This was the first. This was the Ghost Rider. Anyway, I'll put this down so I pay attention to you again.
So what's your favorite era then? You said modern, followed by silver.
Silver. Yep.
And then what would you say the majority of that collection is? Silver?
Silver and golden.
That's crazy, dude.
I just haven't gotten to the golden.
Marvel Presents, thank you. SPB.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see if any of this stuff is fun before I put it away.
The last one you touch, you have to take out and lick it real quick. Is he actually gonna lick it?
Jesus.
What is such an idiot. Delightful.
Tastes like old people. This is had just happened. Silver Surfer number 1.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
there you go.
Silver Surfer number 1.
Dude, that's crazy.
Now I'm gonna put it in a different order just to fuck with you.
It's completely. It's just mishmash.
Oh, you know what I thought about doing real quick?
What?
So
Plumber's crack.
All these old cardboards. Yeah. I thought about selling them for $1 just so people could sniff them.
It's so stupid. Bottled instead of bottled like scents. You're
old comic book smells.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I could sell the plastic wrapper, the wrinkly plastic wrapper, for $2. How's that?
I think you should do a combo deal. You buy them both together, you get 50 cents off.
Oh, it's like fanning a fresh
grandpa's attic. So
fresh pack of hundos. Okay, I'm done distracting.
Now, when it comes time for Graded 10 to launch,
mm-hmm.
Are you planning on doing a wide range of raw and slabbed from all eras? Are you going to be focusing primarily in one era mostly, or are you just doing a hodgepodge? Like, because it's hard to. You and I already talked. You can't put 10,000 books on a website. You need a team of people to do that. It would take forever to do. So, like, which way are you going to? You're gonna have stomach flu tomorrow.
I see Silver Trooper going, "No, don't lick the book."
Which way would you? Like, what direction do you even go with? Like, how do you even start? Because you've got like huge books there. Like, I would be putting up like all the number ones, like 1s through 5s, just for the wow factor. I'd say here's 1 through 5 for Hulk, 1 through 5 Iron Man, 1 through 5 this.
That's been the argument since the day I brought these back and called Trooper and I said, "Come over and help me figure this out." So one theory is take the biggest books, send them off to grade. You know, if I'm not going to clean and press it because it's a little beyond my skill set, that can take months. But get the biggest books off for grade, put them on the market, sell them, and finance the rest of the grading. Okay. Mm-hmm. But if you look at every auction house in the world, they operate the same way. They use the biggest books to draw the crowd.
Of course, yeah.
Then the guys who can't afford the biggest books still want to play, and they go for the smaller stuff.
That's what you're going to have to do.
That's what I'm going to have to do. I have to hold my horses on the big books because while they are, it's so easy to just say, "Hey, this helps get back my money, and this helps put cash back in the bank
But
and whatnot.
that's
It's
what
not,
brings the people
yeah,
to.
it's not a good play.
You would
And
have to
then,
put those up, have them displayed, and have like stupid prices on them, like
yeah,
make
so they
me
wouldn't
want to
sell.
sell it. Right.
Right. And then the second piece is that on books that are over $1,000 and of a certain age, you are required to pay a minimum of $125 plus 2.5% of fair market value just
Hmm.
to get them graded. Just to
So
get
if
them
you're
graded.
throwing so if you send them a $20,000 book, you're giving them 2.5% of that $25,000.
Hmm. So it can cost you three, four, five, $600 to grade a book, and then
Mhm.
that's not even including the 3% plus the
Wouldn't
fee to clean and press it. So it could get like literally, it could cost you $1,000 or $500 to grade a book and get it ready for market. So while it's fun to say that you have crates of this stuff, it's dangerous to send off all this stuff to get handled, and then you get slapped with a $70,000 bill, and if you don't pay it, they don't send it.
Oh
And
my
then
god.
when you if you don't get the book, then you can't possibly list the book. It
So you
gets
have
to
to
be a balancing act of like,
yeah, you have to
what time of the
send them
year
in,
is it?
right. Send them in dribs and drabs, little clusters, if you will, a few at a time. I mean, dude, you've got inventory for
Months,
years. I
years,
mean,
yeah.
you got
Well,
so
to,
much.
to answer your question more specifically, and I see some of the comments in there, um, some of the comments coming up. What I would ideally like to do is take some of the books that could be graded and should be graded and leave that to the end buyer.
Right.
Not, I want to leave it to
No,
the end
it's
buyer, not just me do it all. I would rather sell the like I would
right.
rather take one of these 12
It's
cent Silver Surfers, like Silver
yeah.
Surfer 17,
Yep.
sell it for $45 and let somebody else go through the enjoyment of getting it done.
Yeah, that's gonna be the most cost effective way for you to go. Timing and cost, right? You're gonna be able to save yourself all of that time, all the headache, all the fees, all that stuff. You put those raw books up. Somebody's like, you know what? I've been thinking about going for a run of Iron Man's. I need Iron Man 16. It's raw. He's okay, fine. I'll buy that. And I
Uh,
think
like
that's the way to go for sure.
like Trooper says, leave the meat on the bone for somebody else who wants to get involved in the space, get
Yeah,
involved in the collecting, because I can make my money back on the entire collection with a handful of these books. I
right.
know that sounds maybe crazy,
No,
but
it's not
um,
crazy because you showed a handful that at least
right, it's
are
mega
like 20
money.
grand
Yeah,
combined.
uh,
So,
it- look, the first 10 Spider-Men are like $700,000. The first 15, $700,000.
right. Oh, here we go. He's gone. Squirrel!
Squirrel. This right here is all the first Spider-Mans. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 9. That was the 10th one in there. So these 10 books is somewhere between 400,000 and $700,000 if they were all graded. If they were all graded on an auction. In reality, probably between 10 and 20,000 a book is what I would expect, depending on how much
Right.
marketing depending on how much marketing the auction house can do. The reality is, how many years would it take a collector to find every one of these books?
It'd take a long time.
So that's why it's worth a lot of money, so that if you have somebody with the money who's like, I'm sick and tired of digging through comic bins and dealing with estate sales, they can just come in and spend a ton of money and buy the first 30 or the first 20. And what would be even cooler is if I could use my relationship with CGC to get them graded sequentially. It would be the only collection of its kind to be graded sequentially, which would
Yeah,
take a
but
trip to
then
Sarasota.
yes, but the issue with that though, I know how cool it is and how you would love that, but the the likelihood of you finding a buyer who would hop on and be like, I needed all 14 of those, and the fact that you've got them in sequential order, I'm your
Uh,
Huckleberry.
but it means that I wouldn't want to sell them outside of sequential order, and that means you need a bigger checkbook.
That
But the
means you're going to
truth,
be stuck with it, though.
but that's okay. So
I
that's the
guess.
difference. Well, that's the difference between a flipper and a collector. Is like I have all of this stuff knowing that if I die tomorrow or I die in 50 years, I've got something for the kids. I've got something
Hmm.
for the wife to fall back on. And, it may not be instantaneous. Lethal Wolf says that's worth more than all my precious metals, but if we were in ancient Rome, you'd be broke and I'd be sad. Um, and Trooper's right. I would never sell them. I am doing this because I know what asset class it is and what value it will bring. What I'm consciously making a decision to do, guys, is separate some of these things out that I know should be in the world, should be in the market, should be in the hands of fans, should be in the hands of people who like you have these amazing Marvel coins, right? And I've got a bunch of the Wolverine errors. You know how cool it would be to have a matching comic to match each one of those coins and then maybe a
Hmm.
matching card? There are set builders out there. There are people who are in the coin space that have no idea what type of value proposition they could build if they started matching Marvel character cards with their fucking Marvel coins, with the Marvel comic. And I've been telling Paulie Buck to do this for months. Build sets. And why? Because that's 9 coins, 10 coins, 10 books, 10 cards that you just have to keep together. I'm not telling you to take your whole stack and keep it together. I'm saying build a dynamic, valuable set that only a handful of people in the world will have.
You love you're big on sets. That's your
What
thing. You love
I'm big
you.
I'm big on having you so as a marketing person, I'm huge on having unique selling propositions.
Hmm.
Anybody
Hmm.
can buy a coin. Anybody can go buy a coin, overpriced, underpriced, find somebody with them who's desperate. That's not hard. Can you find a coin? Can you find a comic? Can you find a card? Can you find a toy?
Right.
Like, I have all the Marvel toys all up along the top shelf up there.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Because there's somebody in the Marvel world, there's somebody in the cinema world, there's somebody in the coin world, the comic world, the card world, there's somebody in the world that wants what you got. And
Right.
that's how you differentiate yourself. And in the marketing world, we call that a USP, or a unique selling proposition. That's what your unique selling proposition is, that when you do your auction, people can come spend massive amounts of money buying relatively mundane things and have a hell of a good time doing it, and come back next week and want to do it again.
Hmm.
You are a master of your craft because you developed a unique selling proposition. Now, that is what every person who's moving a product, whether it's crack cocaine, comic books,
It's my
coins,
favorite.
or tutus for a ballet,
Also my
every
favorite.
yes, while doing crack, wearing a tutu, holding a coin auction.
Hmm.
While doing all of that, every one of those guys, every one of those businesses or entrepreneurs has a unique selling proposition. And that is what our job is to do as collectors, as stackers, as alternative asset people, whatever bullshit term you want to give it. That's what our job is to create a unique selling proposition that makes people stop and go, hmm. And when you do that and you do it over and over and over and over again, you're the guy they tell stories about 50 years from now.
Hmm.
That is what 100% what happens. 1,000%. Oh, that guy's lucky. No, that guy's not lucky. That guy bought that card. He bought that comic 30 years ago when everybody thought he was stupid.
Right.
They
Right.
thought he was off his rocker. And now it's selling for $10 million at an auction. He's not stupid. He took an educated guess, but he committed. And he found a unique selling proposition, and that's what converts. So that's to me what most of the people, whether it's coins, comics, or cards, it's what most of the people in the community are missing. The failure to create a unique selling proposition and a pattern interrupt to get people to stop long enough to look at their USP.
Mm-hmm.
That's the trick. That's the magic sauce.
So earlier, SPB had said, "Hey, DOA, do like a whatnot auction once a week," and and I was like I was saying earlier, you and I have been talking about, possibly starting to do something in the not so distant future.
Uh huh. My second
And I,
wife.
your second wife, and I agree with you that, and you and I had talked about this, the raw books, like the books that you have, selling them as is, that's the way to go, with like a spattering of, slabbed and graded books, sprinkled in there. That's the route to take. Um, those books that you have too, the tricky part is going to be for you to decide which ones you're going to keep for yourself, which ones
Mm-hmm.
you're going to keep and send out for slabbing and grading. And
Mm-hmm.
of those, are you hoping to keep or sell? And then which books you're going to, just put up on the auction block and sell.
So I
You
think
know,
it's a lot. Look, you do auctions, right? And you'll put up like three coins, and you'll see like they go like hotcakes, boom.
mm-hmm,
And you might dynamically. I'm not telling any secrets because you do this all the time. So you might you might go, you know what, guys, hang on, and
mm-hmm.
you go deet 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 deet, and you come back out and you're like, I found four more. All right, dickhead, you didn't find four more. They were in the
I
they were
didn't
in the
say I
safe.
found. No, I don't say I
No, no, I
found
know,
them.
I
I'm
know,
like,
I
hang
know.
on,
Come
guys.
on.
Here, I got four more. I know you guys
All
want
right,
them. Here's four more.
right,
I never
right,
say like,
right.
oh, look what happened.
Listen. It's
What a
my story.
miracle.
It's my story. I want to tell it the way I want to tell it. God damn it! So you go dig in your underwear drawer and you pull out four more.
Mm,
And
yeah.
oftentimes you don't raise the price. You just say, look, if y'all want it, I'll give it to you for this. In fact, like, let me shave $5 off everybody and let me, right? Okay. I I need to get over that hurdle. You kept four in the closet for a reason. You kept four in the safe for a reason. You weren't sure you were going to sell it. You weren't sure if it was going to be interesting, and maybe, or most likely, because we talk more often, and I know what you're thinking, you just want to keep it. You want to have that extra inventory. Maybe it's on the
Yeah.
website. Maybe you
Yeah.
think it's going to go up later. Whatever. Me, I would be the same way with this stuff. I know that I have to move it. What would motivate me is some people like these guys going, "Hey, let's go ahead and do a sale one night," and we don't run through it, we don't rush through it, we just have a good solid conversation. These are going to range between maybe $5 and $500 for a raw book, and just get a sense for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to be more than just moving crap or moving collectibles. I want it to be calm, cool, collected. I want everybody to feel good about it. I know you do too. I mean, because we're all in this journey together, I think that once we say go and once we try it out, I'm going to loosen the purse strings a little bit and I'll be like, all right, let's just do it. But right now, it is very difficult to look at this pile of stuff and go, what do I want to keep? What do I want to get rid of? I mean, I have hundreds of comic books, hundreds of slabbed comics, hundreds. And all of them are 9.8s. If I get a 9.6 on an accident, I go into convulsions and I hide it from myself.
Yeah.
Or I
You should take it out and shoot it.
Yeah, I take it out and shoot at Old Yeller behind the woodshed, right? And I have thousands of graded sports cards and Pokemon cards, and every one of them are 10s. Not every one, I lie.
So
But
yeah, I
I'm a
mean,
10 guy, and I know, Storm, these are not 10s.
yeah,
These are not 10s. I
yeah,
know that. And so
right,
that's another hurdle that I have to overcome. Do I want the $5,000? Do I want the 10 that's going to cost me 50? So what I think is really more important is like you did yesterday. You started poking around, asking people if they'd be interested in buying some of these things. Um, I think that's really where it needs to be for us. Is like this is not a business for us. This is two friends talking about common interest, being able to take this $90,000 plus collection and sharing it with folks.
yeah,
Um, and I think that would be fun. And if it turns into a business opportunity, well, then so be it. It turns into one. Graded 10 is designed to be the business opportunity.
mm-hmm.
This would be, and I know you've given me some rules on what you would like to see. I agree with most of
Yeah,
those rules.
yeah,
But I do think even if it's not a regularly scheduled thing, even if it was once a month, we get to try it.
yeah.
I think that would be
No,
fun
and
to be able to.
I mean, we've had to study 34 people in here tonight. And they're all people that are interested in, you know, also getting into the hobby and are currently avid, collectors. Some of the individuals have purchased from me before, both precious metals and comics. Um, I think for you again, the tactic would be to uh, take the one. I would personally, if I had the first appearances of all those different characters, I would probably be sending those out for grading and either keeping them for myself,
Hmm.
because then how many people could say they have
That's
first
the dude. That's the
Spider-Man,
hard part. That's the
first
hard
Thor,
part.
first Hulk? But my point is, reward yourself and keep those firsts of all of those characters, and you keep them because you're selling off all of the other ones afterwards. So 2 through 100, 2 through 207, whatever they are, to me, for the most part, those are almost like all expendable. Um, with the exception of some of the first appearance of like other characters and villains, you know? And Squirrel.
No, I like. Okay, you've seen
So
those.
so those let me ask you
Like
real quick. What is that one there on your hand? The bloody thing to your right. Your right
this.
thumb. Yeah, what is that?
It says Invincible #1.
Yeah, so what is that comic?
This is a Whatnot exclusive.
Yeah.
Whatnot started publishing, and this is their very first comic. And
It
this
looks
is
very much like The Boys.
Boys. Yep. And this is it's done by Image, which is McFarlane's group.
Yep. Is it
Um,
inspired by The Boys? I
yes,
don't
it
know anything
is.
about the
Yes, it
premise.
is. And then
Okay.
this is a super rare. This is a super rare Starlight from the Boys.
Yeah,
That's the cover. It's a Virgin variant. There was only 400 made. Mercado drew this.
it's awesome.
Um, this is a beautiful. It's got the COA behind it.
It's awesome.
Um,
First Spawn.
nope.
No, on
This
the
is
bottom there. That isn't
this
that
is
the first Spawn by your with a
this is the
poster?
Boys.
Yeah,
That is Soldier Boy.
but that's not the first Boys.
No,
No, isn't that Spawn in your hand?
no.
What
This
is it?
is a homage called Red Room.
Oh,
It's a
oh, that's why I
lady.
was saying. That's why I was saying. Like, oh, you got Spawn. Yeah. So because you're squirreling right now, what I was
I'm not
saying to
squirreling
you,
anymore. I'm not squirreling anymore. What I was going to say is that
it's a
there
verb.
are
I ain't
there.
I ain't
Yeah,
squirreling.
I'm hiding nuts around the yard. Um, th- I was talking to Silver Trooper earlier, and I think I said that, or I said that to somebody. I don't remember. I don't know if it was him. I was like, squirreling, hiding nuts around the yard and coming back later. Um, the there are some of these books which I have set aside that I probably will never give up.
Yeah.
Because I would not, even as a collector and as an investor, I cannot see myself going out and buying those books on an individual basis for the amount of money that they're worth, almost
Right.
regardless of what they're graded. And
Right.
for those books, I would kill my I would be very upset with myself if I ever got rid of them for quick bucks,
No,
because
no, and
I
that's
don't need to feed my family with it.
no, and that's what I'm saying though, right? Is so your first appearance books, those are the ones that you should keep. So like anytime you have a first appearance of a particular character, I think that those are the books that you should be keeping unless it's like a character you don't really care so much about. And then the rest, sell those off. And with the funds that you're getting from all that, like that's what you're using to, slab and grade like all those first appearances, the first Hulk, first Iron
Yeah.
Man, first Thor, like
Look,
those you keep.
yes, but I also think because so I have I'm an elite CGC member, and an elite CGC dealer, and I can clean and press, which I'm not convinced that I want to offer that to everybody because it is so time consuming. But I think it would be fun for me to fulfill. Why would I sell something? Why would I sell something for $40 when I can send it off for grade
Right.
and sell it for $1,500? Why would I do that? Because I believe honestly that I should share the wealth, but it would be even more fun if I could at least send them off to grade. Like if somebody wanted to buy the book and then I'll just send it off with a stack to get graded. I get to go through the entire process and then I got to mail them the book back. That might be fun to do.
Yeah.
But you're right. I'm going to do that. I think that's the way to do it. Is take some of the books that I must have, keep those. Those get graded. Um, I think what I'll do is sell a lot of these things raw
Yes.
and take that cash and invest it in getting the books graded and pressed and clean that need to be. And then I'll put the big ones up on graded 10. Maybe
And
pluck a
like I
couple
said,
in for a sale for if we do one.
and yeah, and again you put those big books for a price that's like a ridiculous price that, if somebody's willing to pay you for it, then all right, here you go. You just got yourself Iron Man #1. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I for certain items on my website, I will post things at a high price because I actually, if it sells, good, fine, it's there to be sold. But I have some things priced higher because I just want it there for window shopping.
Yep.
And so
Yeah, and you're running more than one thing. You're doing your auction, you're doing
yeah,
your social media sales. Look, Lethal Wolf says, "Can I ask you what DOA is your most valuable book?" Uh
that's got to be your amazing Spider-Man 1. Has to be.
yeah, probably the set. So if it's pure dollars, it's Spider-Man's. If it's singular like one-offs, it's Spider-Man's. Hulk's probably second. Then you got
Spider-Man #1 is your Amazing Spider-Man 1 is your most expensive valuable
it's
book.
so
Easily.
far that I've come across. So
Mm-hmm.
far that I've come across. It's probably one of the bigger popular books, but from what I've come across, and I've only gone through 3 boxes out of 12, um that's the biggest. Now, if each box statistically contains the same valuable books, then I'm going to be really happy. Um I think from the conscious decision to buy, it would be my Spawn set, if that answers your question.
Well,
So
your
I
Spawn
bought,
set is a ridiculous.
yeah, the Spawn set is ridiculous,
What was
and
that one lot that you and I had? Didn't I stumble across like it was like 1 through 10, all signed, all 9/8? and the guy wanted, and they were asking for like 10,000.
Yep. But I have the first three signed sequentially that exceed that value, and then I have the black and white, which is super rare, and then I have the Malibu Sun in 9.8, which is even more rare.
Yeah.
So I've got a pretty nice spawn set, and that's something that I focused on.
Before we log
Wrap up.
sign
Yep.
off, Lethal Wolf just says he collects Spawn, and since you're on the subject of Spawn, I want you to quickly talk about the cards that you just got. I had no idea that those had existed. You
Oh,
just bought a crate.
yeah. So, and let's see. I'll just show you all this because whatever. These are from 1995. They're sealed Spawn cards. They're from Wildstorm, and they're pretty nifty. They're not a whole lot of them on the census for grade. They're kind of obscure and not very popular. And if I thought you guys were going to go run out and buy them, I probably wouldn't even be showing them. But this is a Todd McFarlane Spawn sealed box.
Are those cards just images of his covers and images from the books and stuff? Like what are they?
These are them. So I opened them to make sure they were real.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the light's really bad, but they are comic covers. They are famous artists.
Mm.
There's even paintings in here. There are, I mean, it's iconic panels from
From all of the art
all
that's
right.
um cool, man. Dude, I think the exciting thing is I get to be, along for the ride as you go through those books and helping you strategize which route to go with each item and everything, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, it's like a natural progression for you and I to start probably doing some live sales on our channels, and looking forward to seeing some content from you. And you know
I release videos daily.
so dude, same time next week. It was a good show, man. uh Anything else before we sign off?
No, I think guys, leave us some comments below. And I know you never ask for it, but hit the like button. I'd like to see this segment. I know this is completely different than what the normal content you produce. Um, and I put a lot of pressure on you, being that I don't produce any content that anybody sees. But it's good to help with the algorithm and get some traction. And if you guys would be interested in having a couple of smart fellas talk about these things and put some of this stuff up for sale,
Yeah.
then drop us a comment. I mean, help me get off the ledge and make the decision to say yes to some of this stuff. I mean, there's thousands of books here. There's no way I can do them all. No way. And so if
You could. It's just going to take a long
yeah,
time.
but I mean, look, I have work, I have a family, I've got other things to do. I got
Mm-hmm.
so many videos that I produce every day that I need to, publish to my YouTube channel. Um, but all that said, it would be a motivator if you guys showed some interest in that sort of stuff, and we could start doing, take it slow, but maybe start selling some stuff and letting you guys get your feet wet.
Sounds good, man. Great time with you, dude. Guys, we'll see you next week, 9 p.m. Eastern. And DOA, I'll see you later, my